looked at him as like and by we, I mean me and all the online kids, teenagers that supported him, we really believed the hype. Like Teflon Don, like he could go into any scenario and win. Like he was unstoppable, unflappable. Nobody could score points on him. He just seemed like, they said you can't stump the Trump. Like he could not be stumped. And so he just had this aura of inevitability, invincibility. And I loved that. And so I went to Boston University. I got on campus in September, and I was wearing my MAGA hat everywhere, in the dining hall, walking down the street. And it's a city campus. So you're walking down Commonwealth Avenue and, you're in the city of Boston, which is super liberal. And at that time, it's different than it was now. People were getting fired for wearing MAGA hats. People were getting punched in the face. It was like being a Trump supporter it was out there actually back then. It was controversial. It was controversial everywhere, not even, just in liberal Boston. But so I was wearing my hat everywhere, and I was just getting accosted constantly. In the dining hall, people would come up and yell in my face. Some black girl in a hijab ran up to me and said, "You know what you're supporting? You're racist, this." And I'm trying to get my pizza, I'm trying to get my oatmeal or whatever at the dining hall. This was happening constantly. And so I was going then on Twitter, and I had a small Twitter account with my real name and face, and I had, maybe 200 followers, and I'm posting about my experiences. And I caught the attention of a lot of people on campus for wearing the hat, for posting on Twitter, and they found my Twitter.
You've only been there like a month?
Less, weeks, maybe 3 weeks. This is starting to kick up. And I catch the attention of my peers, and they start going at me on Twitter and giving me death threats. "We're going to kill you. How dare you? If I see you, I'm going to beat your ass," that kind of thing. And this was my first experience with this. Now we're all kind of desensitized to it, but that was my first run-in with this intensity from the left. So I file a police report. I get real nervous. And, when you're a student, you can't really avoid other people. You're in a dorm room. Exactly. You're in the, so you're vulnerable. And anyway, long story short, so one of these guys from the campus libertarian group, Young Americans for Liberty, he reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I'm not going to say his name, but he goes, I go to a school in Boston. I'm from YAL." He said, "And I'd like to set up a debate with you and one of these people that's been giving you a hard time on campus," because they were doing a lot of events. He said, "Is that something you're interested in?" I said, "Absolutely." And so he goes around and he asks some of the bigger people that are antagonizing me on Twitter, and everybody says no. And he goes, "Yeah, no one's going for it." I said, "Well, can you try again? Can you?" And so he finds one guy, and it turns out to be the student body president of the whole university.
It'll be you.
Yeah, the senior, this liberal douchebag progressive. And he's the student body president of the student government there. And so we set up the debate. It was about a week before the actual election. So I think it was end of October, beginning of November. And they hold it in this auditorium in the center of the campus, and like 300 people show up. So it turns into like this huge, and they're all liberal. They all hate my guts. They're heckling me the whole time. They're yelling at me. We do this debate about Trump versus Hillary. And so I'm there and I'm pro-Trump, and I say, I think Trump's going to win. And I'm straight up like ripping the Ben Shapiro talking points. I'm saying, it's got everything to do with culture and nothing to do with race, and diversity's a problem and all this. And I decisively win the debate. It's like not even close. The debate wraps up, and this girl who I think I had talked to her on Twitter once or twice comes running up to the stage after the debate, and it's Cassie Dillon. And at this time, she's a fellow at Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro's company. And like I said, I barely knew her. And she comes running up and she says, "Oh my gosh, I live streamed this debate on Periscope on Twitter." She said, "And 30,000 people watched it, and you have like 5 job offers. You did incredible." I said, "Wow, I don't know what to say. That's great." She goes,
"You're 18 years old."
Yes. So it's like happening very quickly for me, And she goes, "Do you want to do a post-game interview after the debate?" I said, "Sure." And so she asked me about how I thought the debate went and what my views are and things like that. And, very normal stuff. And then at the end, she says, "I just got back from doing study abroad in Israel." She goes, "And it was amazing. Would you ever take a trip to Israel?" And I said, no, I think I got everything I need right here in America. And she goes, oh, okay. And she wraps up the interview. And that was a little bit of foreshadowing. And this begins a relationship, not a romantic relationship, but we